Hey everybody, my name is Dane Sanders and I want to welcome you to Fast Track Coaching. This is a weekly podcast where we have a chance to have conversations with folks in the industry. I'm the benefactor. I'm so grateful for these conversations with folks within the industry and outside of the industry to help move our business and our creativity forward. And I'm thrilled to have my friend Julieanne Kost on this show. Julieanne is the worldwide superstar evangelist. I don't know what your formal title is. But she really is one of my absolute favorite educators around Lightroom and Photoshop, and you have this magical combination of knowledge base, entertainment. I mean, you do it all. But welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, the opportunity.
And the reason we're here today is a lot of new and exciting things are happening right now at Adobe. And for those of you who have been around the Adobe conversation for many years, this is very familiar to you. But for those of you who are new to the industry or newer, things are shifting, really expanding at Adobe, and it's very exciting times. Now, I want to just mention on the front end, when we get a chance to work with Adobe, we get some fun treats available. And Adobe was very gracious to send these really fancy pants packs here to the show. And inside these really nifty backpacks are a bunch of goodies. Now, in here, Julieanne,
yes,
there are, there's T-shirts, and then there's little things to clean our lenses and fancy pants, like just goodies galore. But you know what's not in here?
What, Dane?
I don't see any copies of Lightroom.
Really? There's a bunch of ones and zeros. They're just stuck in there. You just have to put them together yourself.
You just guess? Yep.
Yeah.
What do you? Because I have two of these.
You have two of those.
And I just think my friends at home would be really excited. And I thought I'd ask you the question after we started recording.
Yeah, no pressure. So if I'm hearing you correctly, what I think that you would like to add.
Hooking you up right now. Say nice things on the Twitter.
I think that there's a little pressure now to. You're going to give those away.
I am. We're going to do a little contest at the end of the show, and wouldn't it be great? Like if you were at home and you were just watching this, wouldn't you be excited to know that Adobe was just wrapping their arms around the photographer and saying, not only are we going to hook them up with these really cool swag,
but inside that swag is a box of Lightroom 4.
A box of Lightroom 4, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that'd be great. You can do that, fine.
In both packs?
In both packs.
Yes! You're hooked up. Say nice things. All right, so welcome to the show. Thought I would.
I don't think they care anymore about what I have to say.
they're just biding their time, waiting to do the contest. Yeah. So we'll tell you about that at the end. But for now, let's get up to speed. Adobe has come up with a Creative Suite 6.
Yes.
And it's not just CS6; it's also Creative Cloud membership.
Correct.
And could you fill people in on what that means?
Okay, so I think the most important thing to get across is just that if you already own Photoshop or one of our suites or the Master Collection and you want to upgrade that, you can do that just as you have done in the past. And also, if you haven't purchased it, but you want to purchase what's called a perpetual license, meaning that it's a box copy or it's a download,
right.
You can do that just as you could with previous versions.
Okay, so if I'm Creative Cloud and CS6 there's a lot of applications that are included in that, and if I want to just get a single application in any of those, I still can. I can just go buy it.
Correct.
But now I have an additional option where I can do a subscription model and pay by the month, pay
Correct.
A lot less.
Mm-hmm. And that is the Creative Cloud membership. That is the subscription offer. Now we offer a subscription to the Creative Cloud membership, and you can also get a subscription for a point product as well.
So if I just want to rent, in essence, Photoshop by the month, I could do that.
You can. And so that is a really great deal if you don't already own it.
Got it.
Right now, because right now, well, let's say a full version of Photoshop runs around $700, and this is kind of more central to North America pricing. Right. I don't know all the pricing for all of our other regions, but that's for the full product. You can still upgrade if you just have point product Photoshop. You can upgrade that for $199, and then you can do the subscription-based pricing, which I have to look over here at my little cheat sheet. So if you do a year subscription, so if you say I want a subscription and commit to a year, then it's $19.99 a month. But if you want to go on a month-by-month basis, then it's $29.99 a month.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm hearing you right. So if I just want Photoshop, and I've never had Photoshop before, or hypothetically, let's say I won Lightroom 4, and I have Lightroom 4, and wouldn't it be great to have the complementary piece of Lightroom 4 and Photoshop? But if I just wanted to buy it outright, it'd be $700 or $800.
$700.
$700, right? But if I wanted to monthly, I could do it for how much a month?
It depends on if you buy the year.
Okay, if I buy the year.
It's $19.99, so it's $20 a month.
$20 a month. Well, that seems significant.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't already own Photoshop, if you hadn't made that initial investment, it's a great way. Plus, if you know, so that's the $19.99 a month.
Right.
But if you also were thinking, you know, I'm going to just need this for the next 3 months, you could pay a little bit more, but then just get it for a number of months.
So it sounds like there's, whether it be an individual application or the whole suite, if they want to get Illustrator or InDesign or any other pieces to the puzzle, there's just a lot more options on how they can get access.
Right. So the whole reason that we're doing subscription-based, especially with the Creative Cloud membership, is that it is a phenomenal deal if you need to use more than one application. So if you need Illustrator and Photoshop, or if you need, you know, if you've purchased one of the suites in the past, you know that we gave great deals on suites, but this Creative Cloud membership is like the master collection, like all of them plus more, and it's $49.99 a month, so it's $50 a month, unless you already own a suite. So for our kind of loyal customers, we wanted to make sure that they
get hooked up,
get a better deal, right? So it's $29.99 if you buy the year contract, and if you do that before, I think it's the end of August.
And when you say buy the year contract, you mean just commit
12 months. You have to commit to the 12 months.
But it's $30 at a time for 12 months.
Correct.
They don't have to pay up front 30 times 12 or anything.
No. So they would pay on a monthly basis, but they've committed to paying for the year.
And that gives them all of the applications that we're familiar with, and as they've been expanding, plus the touch apps. Right.
So it includes, let's talk about what this Creative Cloud membership includes on the master collection thing. So you get all of our desktop apps, and that's another important point. You're going to download those desktop apps.
It's so funny because I've just downloaded all these things, and when I first started doing it, I was like, okay, so I'm not working off of the cloud. We're getting access to it. They're on our machine. Now, there is a cloud-based component, but all your desktop apps, whether it's Photoshop or Illustrator or Dreamweaver or After Effects or Premiere or InDesign, all of those applications you would actually download. Got it.
All right, and you can download them on an app-by-app basis using our application manager.
Yeah, and as someone who's downloaded those things in the past, this new version of your application manager is pretty slick.
It's really great because you can just check off the ones you want, and it just downloads them. So all of those apps, you have access to all of those, plus Muse and Edge.
And what are Muse and Edge so people can
So Muse and Edge. Muse is in beta now, but it will be shipping at the end of the year, or before the end of the year. And that enables you to create websites without knowing how to code. And with the Creative Cloud membership, you can host up to 5 websites through Adobe.
Hosting included.
Hosting included. And you also get Site Catalyst, which is a way to do analytics on your websites that you host. So that's a really great deal for people who want information about the sites. Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, it sounds like, especially if I'm thinking as a photographer that and that's the bulk of our audience, so it's not all of our audience, but it's certainly a lot of folks, if they're thinking about wanting to do more than just post-production on images, if they want to, we were talking a little bit about this at coffee this morning, the idea of expanding our platform. So our clients, our potential clients might want to find out about us. We want to get into video. We want to offer video services. You want to take more responsibility for your publishing on the web in general. We have a lot more tools available if we want to take advantage of them.
Absolutely, including, like you mentioned, all the tools for video, but also like InDesign for publishing, and then for publishing to tablet devices and stuff. So let's talk. I'm going to back up just a little bit more, just because with the whole Muse and Edge. Edge is for creating interactive components to your website, and then I mentioned the Site Catalyst, and then also you have access to Typekit, which allows you fonts for your specific website, which is really, really cool. So gives you a lot of control.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because I remember when I did my last iteration of my own website, I wanted to use Helvetica Neue, and it was driving my developer and me nuts to get it all to work, and it sounds like that would be a great addition.
Yeah, and it's super easy, like the interface with Typekit, it's very easy to look at. You know, if you don't know that much about typography or fonts, and you just kind of want to look for fonts of a certain type, they're like categorized, and you can kind of see, oh, well, I want something that's a script font, and it will show you all of those. So
that's great.
Really nice.
That's going to help a lot of people.
So then in addition, there's also a component of the cloud, of the Creative Cloud membership, which gives you storage.
Yeah, see, this is the part actually that I'm really excited about, because if I'm tell me if I'm off on this. My understanding is that I get a ridiculous amount. Well, I think it's a lot of space on
20 gigs.
20 gigs in the cloud, and I can access that universally. So from whether it's a touch app or my desktop app or whatever, it's basically anything that I want to upload. I can then store it up there and then download copies, work on the copies, and it'll auto-upload back up.
That's correct. So, so right now it's through a browser interface, but I can upload whatever content I want, like you're mentioning. Or let's say, because we didn't even talk about the touch apps. So the touch apps are also included in the Creative Cloud membership. So that's like Photoshop Touch and Cooler and Debut and Proto, and I think there's 5 touch apps. Right now, a few of them are only available on the Android devices, but they're all coming to the iOS.
And a number of them,
devices.
like I know Photoshop in particular and others are on iPads, and basically all the tablet devices I can edit mobily.
Yeah, right, and so you could start in like Photoshop Touch, and then when you're done, you could upload that to your cloud, right, your individual storage space, and then from there you could then go into Photoshop on your desktop, and you could have easy access to that and open that up and then continue working.
So given all of the options that are available for people, especially around whether they get a perpetual license or they get a kind of the more standard one that they did in the past, there has to be some trade-offs, because it's not just one or the other. So talk a little bit about some of the advantages of people if they do it monthly versus if people were to just pay outright and get the service or get the software. Okay,
so so one of the fundamental shifts I think that we've all seen is that things are changing so rapidly in technology, right? And you can tell by just
crazy pace.
Yeah, and you can tell this by just going, like, for example, to the App Store, right? Apps are updated all the time. So traditionally, Adobe has been on this 1 to 2 year cycle of releases. And to stay competitive, we just really can't do that. We need to deliver innovation on a much more timely manner, because things are changing so fast, the way that digital publishing is going. And if you think of, not just photographer and photography, but also, like your commercial uses, how we're publishing things and distributing things, whether it's mobile content or web content or whatever device it is, some kind of tablet. We need to be able to innovate and deliver solutions more quickly. So that is what this Creative Cloud membership allows us to do as far as a company and benefit not only us as a company, because we will be and stay more competitive, but also as someone who subscribes to the membership. So if you buy a perpetual license, a box copy or download copy, we're not able to do that. If you belong to the Creative Cloud membership, the subscription, then as we update things throughout the year, because we are moving to a 1 year release cycle, as we make updates to our products throughout the year, the people who are on the Creative Cloud membership are able to take advantage of that. So some of those things might include, or will include, we've already mentioned that later on this year, Adobe Lightroom will become part of the Creative Cloud membership.
That's really cool news.
That's very cool news. So will DPS, our digital publishing service, for single edition. So that means that you can publish as many single editions to your tablet devices as you want to. So that's coming later this year. There's also going to be a kind of a team program for like multiple licenses that's coming out later this year as well. And of course, any new features that we add to the product, those will be available to our subscribers or the Creative Cloud membership as well.
Well, there's one little piece in what you just shared that people could miss. I'm really struck by that. First of all, that you're on a 1 year cycle instead of an 18-month, 2 year cycle.
Yeah, we just have to be in order to stay competitive.
Got it. So if you buy just off the shelf in a year, I'm trying to turn this off, so it's embarrassing.
It's just better you, not me.
In a year. If you do buy basically the whole version, you are going to get an upgrade in a year if you want to upgrade. But then it's a whole other upgrade cost. In contrast with the month-to-month.
Because month-to-month, when we go to the next version, when we go to CS7, there's no additional cost. You're just paying your subscription cost. So there's no additional fee at that point. You would just get it. And which kind of freaks some people out because they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to come to work one day and I'm going to have to get the new version. We will give you like the whole year to upgrade from CS6 to CS7. So, you don't want to, in the middle of a very important deadline, you don't want to have to upgrade everything. So we'll give you time, of course.
Got it. Well, again, what's attractive to me, again, is this monthly idea on a number of fronts, because I could imagine a lot of scenarios where people could leverage whether they get a year-long contract or even if they go with month to month and they pay a little bit more incrementally every 4 months, if they have a heavy season and they're bringing on support staff or they need more licenses for a particular season.
It is ideal for that.
That's a cool advantage. So talk a little bit about that.
So let's say, for example, you do bring on 3 freelancers or something, and they're going to need access to software instead of you purchasing 3 copies of Master Collection because they might do web, they might do print,
Right.
Who knows what they're going to do. They could actually subscribe if they think they're only going to be doing this for 3 months. They could just pay the individual. And now I think for the Creative Cloud membership, if you do month to month, it does go up to $79 a month.
Right, so
but
about $20 more a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not committing to a year-long contract. I mean,
Right.
that seems pretty reasonable to me.
There's 2 other advantages that I haven't really talked about, and I don't know necessarily with photographers if this will resonate as much as it will with our design communities, but you can install, if you do the Creative Cloud membership, you can install one of your licenses on Mac and one on Windows. So that was not available before.
So you can, 2 machines, but you don't have to stay on the same platform.
Correct.
Wow.
And you can swap out the language that you're choosing with those 2 installs.
Like English and Spanish.
Yep. Yep. So again, I don't know.
Swap means change.
You can change it. You can pick whatever. Yeah, you can pick whatever
today,
language you want. Yep.
If I'm bilingual, I can go.
Yep.
Today's English, tomorrow's en français. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. So you can imagine for like book publishers and people who are making websites and
Yeah.
they're making them in multi-languages. That's fantastic. And people who have to test things on Mac and Windows, it's a huge benefit.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are having this experience. I'm kind of spinning because there's so much information here.
Yeah.
I want to make sure, we're going to mention this at the end, but before I forget, if you're getting all this and you're like, gosh, I'm already at overload, there is a place to get more information. And I'll mention this again at the end of the show, but just to go to the Adobe website, adobe.com.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to adobe.com, the front page right now is Creative Cloud and membership and learn more, and there's videos and everything. But the other place to go, and probably it's easiest if you just Google it, but just Google Adobe and then Creative Cloud FAQ, like our facts, and that has a whole page of questions and answers there, and that gets much more specific, like, is Creative Cloud available in my region and in my country, and in what languages, and all those kinds of details.
Yeah, I will say, props, this is by far the best, you guys have done the best job communicating, in my experience, of all the different releases, because even one of my favorite things was just kind of seeing a simplified set of, design plus web, video production, the master, what's there, it's just less, it's amazing how you've taken more information but made it more elegantly accessible.
Right,
on
so
the site.
that made things simpler yet more complicated, and I'll tell you why. So we used to have more suites that people could purchase. Right. So we've narrowed down the number of suites. Like you just said, there's one for design, there's one for design and web, there's one for video, and then there's the master collection. So that could potentially make things incredibly confusing because based on what you've purchased in the past, like what's your upgrade path? So one of the nice things that I found on adobe.com is it's super easy to plug in what you own and then where you want to go. If you want to buy the boxed copies, again, those perpetual licenses, it will tell you exactly how much it's going to cost.
And you're going to get, basically, if you bought a more recent version, it'll be less expensive if you're on CS.
You know what, it all depends on, actually it depends on what suite you had and what suite you want to go to.
Got it.
Or, if you had Photoshop regular and you want to buy extended, something like that.
And for all these things, if you want to find it out, I know that you can try them out, obviously, for a month.
30-day trials. We have 30-day trials on all our products.
So probably the easiest thing for you guys to do is just go to adobe.com and click on, like, I want to try it out. And there's 2 screens in particular, and the one you're talking about, I was really impressed with it. I was like, okay, so I have this, and it just kind of told me what my options were. And that was pretty clean. So I'm looking at my list here, too. There's so many questions I want to be asking. So it sounds like for Adobe, like big picture, if you want to use a whole Creative Suite, there's a lot of options, all the way down to if you're very specialized and using it for a specific task, but you're only using limited tools, you have a lot of options. Are there any other benefits to Creative Cloud membership over time that I'm not thinking about? I mean, I know there are, but anything that jumps at you?
I think I'll just recap probably the main, like the top 5. The one, it's a month-to-month subscription or a year-long, whatever you've committed to. Any updates that fall within that time frame are basically free because they're included in the membership.
Right.
You get the Mac and Windows option if you wanted it.
Yep.
You would get the ability to use the other languages. You not only get Master Collection, but you get these other applications as well. So you get Muse and Edge, which allows you also to use Typekit and Site Catalyst. There's a community up there that we're going to be delivering later in the year. There's the digital publishing services. So if you're interested in publishing, your portfolio to an iPad and you want to distribute it that way, it makes it really, really easy to do that and much more economical than it did in the past. I'm sure there's things I'm forgetting. All the touch apps, right?
Right.
And in fact, if you've already purchased, I believe if you've already purchased like 3 of the touch apps, whether it's Proto or Collage or Photoshop Touch, I believe somehow with however you purchase your subscription to Creative Cloud, you get an extra.
You get a baker's dozen of
exactly.
Exactly. So one of the things that I really liked about the videos that you're talking about is they don't just cover everything you need to know in Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever. It's taking a specific task and in a very short period of time you can learn a lot. Like I was learning just last night about on the Photoshop Touch app that I could create up to 10 layers and that I could take a landscape image, create a second layer, put a multiply filter on the sky on the second layer, fix the opacity, and then plot them together, and all of a sudden I have a great contrasted cloud on a touch app, which was really, really cool, and I learned it in about 90 seconds. So Adobe TV.
It's tv.adobe.com.
tv.adobe.com, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's great.
But we have a ton of partners, right, that also create content.
Yep.
I'm sure most of folks out there know about the National Association for Photoshop Professionals, right? That's Scott Kelby and his group. And then also I found that the training on lynda.com is exceptionally good. There's folks there like Deke McClellan and Chris Orwig, and they have fabulous training. So I'm sure that you probably have found it other places as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's funny. We're in a season where there's never been more options to learn, and so much of it, we don't have any excuses anymore in terms of getting access to learn the tools if we are serious about wanting to learn them. And I know that it's complex if you're at home. I know I feel the pressure on how do I stay up to speed on these things because they're moving pretty rapidly. But I'm just really impressed with all of the ways that you guys are not only concerned about the tools you're building, but also the interface around the tools. So it's I'm actually now more than ever, I feel like I can see the forest for the trees, whereas before it just felt like this behemoth of tools. So kudos.
I think it's a great way also with the subscription model, the membership, is that you can dabble in things too. Like for $49 a month,
right,
or even less if you already owned a suite. There's like this whole psychological, I don't feel guilty that I don't know all the apps, but gosh, I have access to the apps if it's something that I want to do.
Right.
So.
Well, for past editions, I've had whole applications that were never opened over the whole 2-year period that I owned the app, and it's crazy. But I think you're right. It should invite people to do more. I did want to ask earlier about 2 things, and I forgot. One was about. I've used the word subscription a few times. It's not a subscription, it's a membership, and it has to do with community and collaboration. That's a big thing about our community is we believe that we're better together in collaboration than we are in isolation. It sounds like there's some other cool things down the line that we probably can't talk about right now, but that we're anticipating where it really will be more of a part of a community, not just
exactly. Yeah. So there will be additional features, like I mentioned, like Lightroom's coming down the road, and we have this whole plan of things that will be evolving over time, and part of that is more of a community like feel, community knowledge, community sharing, all of those aspects, which I think will be really helpful. I mean, I don't know a single photographer out there, well, let me rephrase that. All the photographers out there that I know that share information with other people, especially technical information.
Right.
I mean, it's really hard to keep up with everything today. And the smart ones out there share everything because they know that it's not the technology necessarily that's not what's going to land in their job. It's their creative vision that's going to land in their job.
That's right.
Yeah, these are just the tools.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, I know this is kind of another switching gear for a second, but I want to make sure we address it. I know some of you guys are at home thinking like, okay, now we're getting into the cloud. Is it secure? Is there any kind of concern there that people should have?
Oh, so the images that I post online that
right.
I want to access from anywhere, are those secure? Yes. So we're using We're using Amazon Web Services. There's, if you Google that FAQs, FAQ, then you will find out like all the other security that we're using, like firewalls and all of that. But yes, your information is secure, and you, on a per image basis, can mark it as either public or private, that you want to share it or you don't want to share it.
Cool. Anything that you just love about Photoshop, CS6, or Lightroom 4?
All of it. All of it. I've been waiting so long for this to come out. So Lightroom. Okay, so the two things, well, Camera Raw, which is in both, right? So that technology, they just knocked it out of the park this time. And I don't know if you've downloaded there's actually a Lightroom 4.1 release candidate 1 and release candidate 2. You can get that off the lab site, which is labs.adobe.com.
My favorite thing is, she's here all day. I'm going to go do this in just a minute.
So one of the things that the release candidate allows you to do, which, see, I have this like love-hate thing. Like if I was going to lay out albums and stuff, I would do that in InDesign. But I know people want to just do it in Lightroom, which is totally fine, except that before, in just Lightroom 4, not 4.1 release candidate, you could only...
What does release candidate mean? What does
it means that it's not shipping.
Got it.
So it is not a shipping product. That's why it hasn't been like, it doesn't come down under the help menu and say, hey, there's a new...
Got it. It sounds like a beta within a
It
release.
is, exactly. It's, yeah. So release candidate, we know we're going to get it out there, but it's not ready for prime time. But people can use it. And the great thing is in the book module, you can now export not only to blurb and PDF, but to JPEG.
That's pretty.
So people totally wanted that, and I'm really happy that that was in there. And then also defringing. So for chromatic aberration, we're doing it on the fly now, and the engineer that does this, Eric, is phenomenal. It's
I love
crazy.
He's smart.
Oh yeah. Did you read his PDF?
No.
Like, and he's so articulate. He's brilliant. He's just great. And then of course, like, you know, Thomas Knoll has been working on all the other stuff with Camera Raw for. You know, we're already working on the next
In case you're
version.
wondering, next time you open up any of these applications and you see like a sea of names, these are these people. She's one of them. But these are these people that are listening.
But and then just I think we simplified the whole way that you can enhance your images in the develop module just by putting all the sliders in the center and, you know, moving one way lightens, moving the other way darkens.
Right.
The whole
It's just more intuitive.
Yeah, and the ability to see in your shadows without, you know, you can, on a real contrasty day, you can now, you know, lift your shadows so you can see the detail, and you can also bring down your highlights, but there's not this funky crossover in the middle. And same with the clarity slider. When you bring that up, you don't get the haloing that sometimes you got before.
Right.
So, and then the map module I just think is fun. And then there's a ton of little things in Lightroom where like you can duplicate your collections and stuff now, which it's a small thing, but it's huge in my workflow at least. So.
It's so funny. Yeah. I talk about my children the way you're talking about this product.
these are my children. That's why when people are like, I don't like this, I'm like, you're calling my baby ugly.
That's great.
So in Photoshop though, I think we've really rounded out that whole content aware technology. So it's now in the patch tool.
It was my favorite thing in CS5.
Yeah, it was, but what we needed to kind of guide it. So now you can use the patch tool and say, you know, circle this area and say, okay, I want you to fill that. Be aware, use the content aware technology, but I'm going to just show you where I want you to grab it from.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so that it's not like, it's not randomly saying, well, do I select here, here, here?
Oh, that's a pretty significant game changer. It's funny, what it reminds me of is, yesterday I heard about Google's rolling out their new search engine where it's, so if, you know how Bing makes fun of Google and they say like you search for this and you find yourself in some labyrinth of stuff. Yeah. Now you contextualize it, so you search for whatever word that have multiple contexts, and then it'll give you options for context, and you pick that, and that'll give you a whole
Got it.
Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, we're kind of aiding it. We're helping it a little bit and saying, here you go. I don't want it from over here. I want it from over here.
That just sounds like a lot more smart. Like I can take my head and put it into the selection.
Yeah. And then there's all sorts of stuff around video. There's stuff around shapes and stroking paths and things like that, which I'm not sure how many photographers, maybe they wouldn't be using those vector tools as much, but I think they'll definitely want to explore all the video options. There's a bunch of new blurs, so you can do like a tilt shift effect.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's 3 of those. There's a ton of stuff. Yeah, but I have videos on it on Adobe TV. But here's the cool thing.
You never do this, by the way. You don't do this stuff. You need to promote your blog. Because your blog not only takes the cool Adobe TV stuff, but with your stuff, you have organized it in a way that people can track things.
Okay.
And learn
So my blog is just,
It's really cool.
it's blogs.adobe.com/jkost. And
JKOST. And by the way, if you're on the Twitter, at JKOST. It's worth checking out.
Okay.
So, say thank you for coming and that sort of thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so I totally, oh yeah, so every day I blog, well, every Monday through Friday, because I'm not that crazy, just every day, every weekday. And then the nice thing about it, though, is when I do a video tutorial on the right-hand side, you can just click on either the Lightroom video tutorials or the Photoshop video tutorials. And when you click on those, they're all categorized. So anything that has to do with catalogs, like how do I merge catalogs? Do I want to use one or multiple catalogs?
You never get that question.
No. Every time, and it's just like, no, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about the develop module and making pretty pictures.
That's
But then, you know, everything in the develop module, the book module, they're all kind of segmented. And the same with the Photoshop side. So there's a bunch of stuff on compositing or making movies using Photoshop or what's new in Photoshop.
Awesome. So one question I did want to ask you, and this is beyond the scope of just, you know, this pretty cool. This is awesome. I mean, really, thank you for all you're doing.
Oh, well, it's a lot of engineers. It's not me. I just get to talk about it.
It's fun. I know that in my conversations with a lot of you guys at home and photographers just in general, talking shop right now is a whole different flavor than it was a decade ago when we were at the camera store, you know, talking about gear. Now it's, you know, gear is influencing software, software is influencing gear. You know, video people are influencing web people who are influencing broadcasting people who are influencing
Engineers are controlling social media.
There's just a lot of moving pieces, and you really have a really unique vantage point because you're kind of at a crossroads for a lot of those things. Any kind of, without being held to any of it, any predictions on where you see things trending around the photo industry?
Probably the biggest thing will be collaboration. You know, I think if you look back 10 years, most photographers worked by themselves. And I just think that, you know, if you're trying to offer more value to your clients and your customers, you're going to need to offer more products or whatever you want to call them, whether it's something that has to do with you do a photo shoot and now they want to deliver it on a tablet device. They want to be able to see it on their cell phone. They want to see dynamic video of it. And our video team is just knocking it out of the park right now. It's really fun to see. And I will say that, you know, I know it can be daunting to learn all these applications, but at least if you stay within the Adobe product line, like there's so much similarity. So when you learn one, you kind of go into another one. You're like, oh, look, the tools are in the same
really
spot, and the panels work the same. And
so enough with all this baloney. Let's give away some fun things.
I mean, enough with all this great content, but now is very educational.
But people have been waiting so patiently at home. So I have two of these fun little backpacks from Adobe. I actually had three, kept one for myself. You can judge me if you want, but they're really awesome. And there's a lot of fun treats in here, and the fun treat in particular that just got added, care of Julieanne Kost, is that you get a copy of Lightroom 4. So we're going to give that away to two different folks. The way to do it is if this was valuable to you in any way, my request is you do a couple things. Number one, thank Adorama for underwriting this thing and being able to do this every week. Really grateful for them. You don't have to do that to win the prize, but just thank them. That's pretty cool too. But to have access to win the prize, all you need to do is put any feedback or tweet or experience that you had. Thank Julieanne, do whatever you want, but at the end of it, put pound or hashtag Adobe BT. So ADOBE, BT for Better Together. And if you do that before June 15th, then you'll be eligible. We'll do a search, do a random drawing. Two of you guys will win. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Are you kidding? Thank you for the opportunity, and I really hope that kind of clarifies why we're going to Creative Cloud membership and the advantages of it, and knowing that you can also, if you just use a point product, you can subscribe to that point product, or you can buy your upgrade as usual. You will need to buy the upgrades on adobe.com.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys next week.